All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means. Time to do the Tao now. Tuesday Tao. Learning and living the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching. Coming to us from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer in his book entitled Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. And we can indeed do that, and we have been doing that through this series, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for joining us here today on another Tuesday Tao edition of Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. And today's verse or chapter titled by Dr. Wayne Dyer is Living by Cooperating. And it is the 68th verse of the Tao Te Ching that we are on now. And we're over 68 episodes on this series. And so it's been a lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try to keep this one short today. And so without any more ramblings or extrapolations from me, let's just dive right into the 68th verse of the Tao Te Ching. And it begins by saying, "A good soldier is not violent. A good fighter is not angry. Good winners do not contend. Good employers serve their workers. The best leader follows the will of the people." All of them embody the virtue of non-competition. This is called the virtue of non-contending. This is called employing the powers of others. This, since ancient times, has been known as the ultimate unity with heaven. And that's a boom to knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. That is the 68th verse of the Tao Te Ching. Very short, I was about to say. Hope you got yourself some tea or a cold beverage wherever you are. And I hope you're comfy. Hope you're safe. Sending our thoughts and prayers out to all those who are dealing with struggles and opportunities at this time in the world. And so, living by cooperation. I find this a very powerful verse of the Tao Te Ching, despite being so short, ladies and gentlemen, about non-violence, non-anger, and non-competition, or not contending, and then serving the people. The best leader follows the will of the people. And that is another paradox, because so often we think you are either a leader or a follower, but the best leader follows. But you would think, how does that work? Wouldn't the leader be in the front and the followers be following the leader? But, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we've been taught to believe. And here we are changing our thoughts, changing our understanding, our awareness of the way reality can work for us in order to increase the quality of our lives. And so this virtue of non-competition and embodying the power of others or the will of others and getting rid of violence and anger and competition, as this verse of the Tao Te Ching says here in this translation, this since ancient times has been known as the ultimate unity with heaven, the ability to do these things and follow this way, which is what the Tao translates to, the way. Living by cooperating. Wayne Dyer, once again, titles his chapter here and his description of this 68th verse of the Tao Te Ching. He begins by saying, Dr. Wayne Dyer, quote, "This verse of the Tao Te Ching asks you to reconsider what you think you have to do to be a winner." And I'll add, ladies and gentlemen, what you have to do to be successful, what you have to do to be cooperative, and what you have to do to be a leader, and what you have to do that has been known since ancient times to create ultimate unity with the force, with God, with heaven, with Tao, with Source. Wayne Dyer continues, in the Western world, getting ahead most often implies having to be in a state of contention and competition. Basically, You must defeat the other guy or gal by getting what you want before he or she does. This makes me think of the old adage or the old idea that there's two ways to build the biggest building. The first way is to knock down everybody else's building. And then the second way is to build your building bigger than all of theirs. And those are two different ways. I would say one is a competition and one is a personal pursuit and journey. But that popped into my mind there after what Wayne was just saying, trying to defeat the opponent and get what you want before he or she does. So Lao-tzu, Wayne continues, asks you to change this kind of thinking by embodying the virtue of non-competition, which can work for you even in a society where conquering and being number one are highly valued. And so once again, a reminder, we are changing our thoughts, changing the way that we think about things, so the things that we experience change for us. If you change the way you look at things or view them prospectively, then the way that you experience things change. So change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. I like to repeat that because it's important. I think that is the most important philosophy, is understanding that there is a new way that we can think about the things that we have only thought about in one way for our entire lives, until we become open to change and open to experiencing a higher quality of life through an increased awareness, some would call an enlightenment. Now, continuing with what Wayne says here, the virtue of non-competition, which can be at work for us even in society today, where we've been taught that getting ahead and status and being number one and defeating other people and destroying everybody else's building so that yours is the biggest is the way. But that is not the way, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the Tao-centered way. That is not the nature-centered way and harmony. That is missing the mark. Loving that translation. It always comes back now as being a good one. See, we used to think that sin was something else, but then we learned through translations that it was an archery term for missing the mark. And so we need to begin to shoot better, ladies and gentlemen. We need to align ourselves with the target or the goal, and so that we may be aligned and in cooperation and flow with a Tao-centered way. Now, the Tao Te Ching teaches that all of the 10,000 things, Wayne continues, emerge from the same state of non-being. And if you haven't got that yet from this series, then go back, because there's plenty of episodes on that exact thing there. And so the Tao Te Ching teaches us that these 10,000 things, the world of the 10,000 things, the form that we give separate names and labels that is in our physical reality here, emerge from that same state of oneness or non-beingness. Here, in that oneness, there's only oneness, which implies complete collaboration. And so, not competition. Who can there be to defeat if you see yourself in anyone and everyone, ladies and gentlemen? And I really want you to ask yourself that question. Who can you be, angry at, or have ill will against, or want to defeat, if you see yourself as a part of and connected to and in everyone? You'd be picking a fight with yourself. There's a saying that I like that Wayne Dyer taught me as well, and he said that when you harm any human being, you harm the generic human being, which is all of us, which is a fascinating way to take that last sentiment. And so you'd be picking a fight with yourself. Lao-tzu, Wayne continues, asks that you follow his advice and choose to live by cooperating. And as the verse says, embody the virtue of non-competition. Believe it or not, this can actually work to your advantage in athletic competitions. Rather than thinking of an opponent as the enemy and employing anger and mental and physical violence, remind yourself of Lao-tzu's words in the opening verse, or the opening lines of this verse of the Tao Te Ching. A good soldier is not violent. And that makes me think of the lessons of Star Wars and the Jedi, is that anger is the first enemy. Before you even draw your sword, and this probably goes back to more ancient teachings because we know Lucas drew from a lot of stuff, but before you ever even draw your sword, anger is your first enemy. And if you cannot beat that, then you will be ruled by the quote-unquote dark side. Rather than the way, the harmony, the light. A good soldier is not violent. A good fighter is not angry. And good winners do not contend. Instead, such individuals view their opponents as a part of themselves and as crucial members of this dance that we call life. So rather than being angry and hateful towards opponents in a tennis match or whatever venture it be in life, or a football game, or whatever it is, or your business, or your endeavor, see them as part of you that's working to help you achieve excellence. It's a new way of viewing what we used to think of as an opponent. Without them, you couldn't improve, get a good workout, or become victorious. So they are necessary and a part of you and of the entire process, like you just said, the dance that we call life. And the T says today, without gratitude, there is no prosperity. So we must have gratitude in order to feel abundant and prosperous and successful and victorious. If there is no gratitude, none of those are possible. Do as Lao-tzu advises and employ the power of others to elevate yourself to the status of winner. That is, cooperate with your opponent by wanting them to play at a high level, the best they're capable of, and shift your focus from being upset or self-reproaching to the task at hand. So see the ball, move the ball, or remain upright and balanced in a martial arts contest. When anger isn't a component, your game will go to a new level. And this is true off the athletic field as well. What you fight weakens you. What you cooperate with strengthens you. What you fight weakens you. What you cooperate with strengthens you. I think this is a very big key when it comes to manifesting and health and success, especially health, though. What you fight, this is interesting, will weaken you. What you cooperate with will strengthen you. So change your thinking about competing to cooperating in all areas of life, including your work. I thought about health for some reason, because so often, so many of us, when we have ailments or illnesses or opportunities in the health area, our first inclination is to fight it and destroy it. But rather than taking this philosophy, as we're learning here from this verse of the Tao Te Ching, if we, not strengthen it, but cooperate with it, accept it, and then cooperate with it to get rid of it, rather than this, this competition, this destroy, this subtle subconscious anger that we may experience in trying to get rid of illnesses and ailments and things that we all deal with. And so, especially in cooperation with the body to help it to heal itself rather than fighting the illness, we need to cooperate with our body to help it heal itself. Fascinating. So change your thinking, and this could be in all areas of our life, including our work. I practice this concept, Wayne says, by thinking of every person whose purpose is to help improve the quality of life on our planet as being my partner on my quote-unquote team. So we are part of the same team here, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to have you. Anyways, I cannot conceive of anyone out there whom I'm in competition with for any external prize. If they sell more books than I do, I applaud their good fortune, and in fact, I tell as many people as I can to buy their products. If they make more money, get more publicity, or reach more people, I celebrate by thinking my teammate has helped me with my mission. When I play a close tennis match, I silently send love and encouragement to my opponent. When I am stressed, when I am less stressed, less angry, and less violent in my thinking, I am living in the moment that Lao-tzu calls the ultimate unity with heaven. My level of excellence soars regardless of the outcome on whatever that metaphorical scoreboard for us may be. Now, this is a great lesson, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're taking this and getting this down. I like to ramble on a lot of this more than I am doing today, but I'm going to save it just to keep it simple so that we can take this in. But the key lesson in that paragraph was when I'm less stressed, less angry, and less violent in my thinking, we are creating that unity, that harmony with the way, with heaven, with source, with Tao. And our level of ability to be at peace or to be at any positive state in our minds increases tenfold. This is my extrapolation there. So this is what Lao Tzu recommends to us from his 2,500-year-old perspective. Wayne says, declare that you're not going to fight. It's funny, I told a coworker yesterday, he was like, yeah, man, I like sparring. He was talking, he's in martial arts. And so he enjoys a good spar every now and then. And he said, come on. They're talking about a sparring partner. And he's like, I'll choose Chase. And I was like, no, bad choice, man. I'm not a fighter. I'll run away faster. I just thought that funny. In relation to what was just said there, Lao Tzu recommends, and Wayne Dyer recommends, that we declare that you are not going to fight. Don't fight colds. See? Okay, now he's hitting the point here. Don't fight colds, illnesses, or even serious afflictions. So if we don't fight them, Chase, then what do we do? Don't fight with family members or against political opinions. Don't fight addictions, or most important, don't fight yourself. The sentiment I was fighting, I've been battling with myself on this. I always like to ask, well, who's winning? If you are yourself, that really gets people to think. They go, wait, what? And if they're the kind of people that don't want to think, then they just kind of move on really quick, and then your time is wasted. No, your time was not wasted, but not to, you can't force a horse to drink, ladies and gentlemen. If you do, you might drown the horse, and even more dangerously, you might get kicked. So, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can lead someone to knowledge, but you can't make them think. So, that is up for them to do when they are ready. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. We know that. If you insist, so if you have, it says here, we need, instead of this fighting in all different ways, whether it be colds, afflictions, illnesses, family members, political ideas, addictions, and even opponents, or ourself, instead, make the shift to living by cooperating. So there's your answer. You're saying, what do we do then if we're not going to continue to fight these things like we've been taught to do in our life by society and, those influences that we all have that teach us the way, quote unquote, which I believe is a missing of the true way, a missing of the mark. If you insist, so instead make the shift to living by cooperating. If you have cancer or arthritis cells in your body, talk to them from that perspective. And now this may seem very strange for someone who's not into, the magical, mystical, spiritual powers of healing and the effect that the mind has on the body at a measurable cellular level. And there's plenty of books on that, ladies and gentlemen. The Biology of a Belief is a good one. Just title, search that in. But there's tons and tons of books and scientific research endeavors that if we are open to learning new things and having new awareness, enlightenment, having a new perspective on reality, by gained knowledge, by opening the mind, we may find out that far more than what we've ever been taught is possible is actually possible and available to us now. So when someone says, begin talking to your cells and to those parts of your body from this cooperation perspective and attempting to create a healing within yourself by using your thoughts, it's not as crazy, and they are not as crazy as they sound, because this is very real stuff. And I find it surprising that many people live in a reality where they do not know that these magical abilities are completely available to anyone at any time. It just takes a little practice. And like we always talk about, the most important number one step of any kind of spiritual practice is the schooling of the mind. The schooling of our minds, ladies and gentlemen. We have to work out our minds. I say that like every episode. So keep lifting mental weights. And what does that look like? Well, Tahat, or Hermes, described it, Thoth, in the very beginning of his teachings in the Hermetica, is that we must, pure philosophy and spiritual striving is through constant contemplation, which is one of the practices of the mind. So continue to contemplate things and open yourself to new possibilities and awareness. There was my ramble. Hope you get value, ladies and gentlemen. If you're getting value, consider subscribing. And if you're already subscribed, then thank you so much for being here. I love and appreciate you, and would love to see you in the comments section below. And so you need to have this new perspective of cooperation. So he's talking about these cells, these cancer or arthritis cells, and he's talking to them in his body. He says, this is, quote, if you insist on living in my body, I wish to live in harmony, peace, and total health with you. Otherwise, I invite you to take up residence elsewhere. This may sound strange, even Wayne says, but it puts you back in the harmony with the Tao, which isn't violent, hateful, or angry. So this also puts you back in harmony with the source, or with the force. This is another one of the keys to creating your life on purpose, manifesting, which isn't violent, hateful, or angry. Also, when it comes to your children and other family members, see yourself as their ally, daily practicing the virtue of non-contending. So number 2 here on what Lao-tzu recommends to us from his 2,500-year-old perspective, as Wayne Dyer writes, practice seeing yourself in everyone else. So if someone you love is hurting, you experience their pain. Therefore, when you say or do something that's harmful to someone you love, you're doing something to harm yourself. This is difficult, I'll add, because the ones that we love are closest to us, and so they most easily push our buttons. It's important to remember that those that you care nothing about, which as we're learning, we should have love and care for all beings. But you'll notice, in the way that we've been taught to experience life by society, at least here in the West where I am, but it's like you'll notice the people that are not very close to you and have a big, connection to you, you don't really care too much about what it is, they have it, they're less available to pushing your buttons, so to speak, because you're like, okay, whatever, I don't care what you think. But the loved ones in your life, those that are closest to you, they hardly have to do anything, and it pushes all of your buttons. And I'm just speaking I'm speaking generally here. But I'm sure we all experience that in some way. And now, so we're practicing seeing ourselves in everyone, especially in our loved ones. And if we harm them, even if it's something that we say, we are harming ourselves. So extend this awareness to all of humanity. After all, you share the same origination, the same originating spirit or Tao with every living being in the universe, not just humanity. When you see your own spirit in a cooperative embrace with all others, it says, you'll know what Lao-tzu means by the ultimate unity with heaven. Here's some marvelous words from Pablo Casals that express this thought. This has been a powerful one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm liking it because it's easy to get. It's easy to understand. It's not so lofty and mystical. When will we? So this is coming from Pablo Casals. Quote, when will we teach our children what they are? When should we say to each of them, do you know what you are? You are a marvel. You are unique. In all the years that have passed, there has never been another child like you. Your legs, your arms, your cunning fingers, the way you move. You may become a Shakespeare, a Michelangelo, a Beethoven. You have the capacity for anything. Yes, you are a marvel. And when you grow up, can you then harm another who is like you, a marvel? Beautiful words, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful sentiment. We should, put that on a sticky note or print it out and put it in a place in our homes where we can see it often and remind ourselves that we are a marvel. And everyone out there is entirely unique, and no one else will have the exact experience that you do in all of time. Even if we live 52,000 lifetimes, this one is unique out of all of them. It's important. It's deep to think about. But that really helps us to love ourselves, which is where we really need to begin in the spiritual journey, which is schooling the mind and beginning to love yourself, love and appreciate wherever you are. If you made terrible decisions in the past, you can recognize that and then see that and know that and begin to make a new direction, begin to aim for a new mark, begin to stop missing the mark. And we can love ourselves from wherever we are and then go forward from a growth mindset. Wayne Dyer always taught there was two kinds of motivation in psychology, and that's deficiency motivation, like we are deficient where we are and we're no good and we're broken and we need to fix our broken selves. And then there is growth motivation, which is the opposite, which is where we are perfectly fine where we are. We know we have maybe made mistakes, but we know now that we can go in a new direction, and that is not us. And so we want to grow. Rather than wanting to fix what's broken, we are perfectly fine with where we are now, because we know we are here, And whatever got us here was what we needed to go through in order to get us to where we are now. And from this position, we can grow. And so it's important to make that distinction when giving yourself motivation in life. Now, finally, Wayne Dyer finishes each of these beautiful, wonderful chapters in Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, living the wisdom of the Tao with what he calls do the Tao now. This is a way that, we can try to apply the wisdom of this verse of the Tao Te Ching to our lives today, practically. So do the Tao now, ladies and gentlemen. Wayne says here, quote, affirm that you'll think of your opponent as an extension of yourself in the next competition or the next competitive encounter. And vow to mentally send that person love, surround him or her in light, and pray that he or she will perform at the highest level. And then note how your own performance improves and carries you to a new level of excellence. And boom, ladies and gentlemen, that is a boom to knowledge, a boom to wisdom, and a boom to changing our thoughts and changing our life and living the wisdom of the Tao from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. Boom, round of applause. I really love this book. It's been a fun one. We're getting closer and closer each week to the end here, but we've got some time to go. We'll probably be into August, September by the time I'm not sure, but you can do the math if you count how many. There's 81 verses, and we just did 68, ladies and gentlemen. So got about 20 more weeks, maybe 10 more weeks, 12. Anyways, you can tell I'm much better with spiritual philosophy than I am with math, ladies and gentlemen, but to each their own, because we are all on the same team here. And so it's important to remember that, and it's important to, to see God in all his distressing disguises, as the great sentiment implies. And it's important to know that as we all sit in a ring, kind of a metaphor for life, and suppose and wonder what the way is and the truth and how to be and all these things, the secret sits in the center and knows. So as we all sit in a ring and suppose, the secret sits in the center and knows. And so we must be ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the teachers to appear in order for us to receive the lessons that we are supposed to get in this dance that we call life. This has been a fun one, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a great one. It's been a powerful one. So I want to thank you and appreciate you for spending time here with me and Dr. Wayne Dyer and Lao-tzu and the wisdom of the Tao. And tomorrow, we'll be diving deeper into the Hermetica and the lost wisdom of the pharaohs, and continuing into another great section that is contemplating creation. So tomorrow, we'll be talking about how Hermes teaches us how to see God by contemplating creation and reality. That's going to be a fun one, ladies and gentlemen. That should be fun. Remember to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment. Remember to seek to discover the mysteries of reality, the mysteries of history, and the hidden wisdom of the ages. And remember to make happiness the way, ladies and gentlemen. There is no way to happiness, because happiness is the way. It's the process, the activity that we bring to life. And when we can do that, the goals that we've been telling ourselves, oh, I'll be happy when I finally get there, that becomes irrelevant, because we're already there. And then hopefully the entire journey is wonderful. All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I love and appreciate all of you. Be sure to expand the description below the video, hit the more button, and you can find yourself a link to my landscape paintings, as well as a link to the book itself, so you can get it for yourself to put it on your shelf. I think there's also a link to the audiobook if you want to listen to Wayne lecture on it, because the audiobook's real good for this one too. So be sure to get that, as well as a link to C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man. If you still don't know what C60 is yet, please look it up. It is the future of antioxidant protection and giving ourselves the gift of health. Give yourself the gift of health, ladies and gentlemen, and we can experience a much higher quality of life. Cheers. All right. Until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, continue to be the change that you want to see, be the example in the world. And what else would you add to that? That's what I'll ask. And we'll leave it there. All right. Thank you. Love you.